So, hi you guys. So, actually, this is a different type of video. So, you guys know I don't normally go on here and talk about like relationships and stuff, but this is actually a video for Trey Melvon's video. He said it's talking about his exes and what you've learned from them and stuff like that. Let me see if I can tilt this down a little bit because I'm recording on my iPad right now. So I actually gonna tell you guys a story about my ex, but I'm not gonna say their name. I'm gonna use I'm gonna call them Excedrin. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit of the story, and then from there I'm gonna keep it moving. So once again, this is for Trey Melvon's video, and then blah blah blah. So once again, we're gonna start from the beginning. I'm not gonna tell you the whole entire story, but I'm gonna tell you chunks of it, and we're gonna let you know what happened. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I met Excedrin via YouTube. It had to be like 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago, because I started doing YouTube like about 6 years ago, and you guys know I deleted that channel. And 4 years ago, I started Only Can Be Me, and I was on Lonely Princess, and that's where I met her. So, I met Excedrin, and she came to me. Look at, I got lipstick on my teeth. That is so fucking cute. So now that we got that out the way, yeah, super cute that I had lipstick on my teeth. Oh well. So Excedrin came to me and we started talking and conversating and all these other things. So Excedrin did live out of state. I live in California. She lived in another state. At that time, I wasn't as financially able to do a lot of things as I am now, and I'm still like struggling a little bit financially, but I'm way more able to do things now than I then was back then. I wasn't working, I was looking for a job, I was struggling, things like that. And she knew these things, but she told me that she was a nurse. So Excedrin came into my life and kind of made things a little bit more difficult for me in the emotional state. She came in and made me feel like she was honest and sweet and nice, and she actually started to treat me well in the beginning. I was about 23 when we started talking. She was in her 30s. She's supposed to be more mature, I thought, and honestly, that is not what happened. So, Excedrin came into the picture. We started talking. We began to date. And I'm using these air quotations because now it seems like craziness. But, you know, when you look back on your life, it's always a little bit of craziness that happens, right? So I began to date Excedrin, and we were great for about 4 or 5 months, and then things started to go a little haywire. We started to argue, we started to have issues. So I would always send her like gifts. Like, I'd make things for her, I would send her things. Even though I wasn't financially stable, I was always the one kind of sending her stuff. The only thing she would do maybe on my birthday occasionally was like send me a birthday card. And I'm just like, well, if you got it like that, you're a nurse. You know what I'm saying? Nurses make a lot of money. And she was just like, well, I'm sorry, I couldn't send you this and blah, blah. And this is way before Catfish came out. You know what I'm saying? So I have been catfished before. You know what I'm saying? So Excedrin would say things like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't send you something. You know, I've been busy working, blah, blah, blah. And I remind you, she would call me at work while she was working and all these other things and talking on the phone super late. And I'm just like, okay, well, if you got to go to work early in the morning, I get it. We were enjoying conversation, but I would still be like, hey, I got to work early in the morning. You know, I got to go, you know? So, that's fast forward a little bit. In Excedrin, we, were talking for about, we stopped talking like we broke up, got back together, broke up, got back together, that kind of shit. So she would do things like go talk to other females. It was one point where I heard other females in the background, at her house, things like that. So she had a roommate, right? Keep this little nugget in your mind when I tell you the story. She had a roommate, and his name was Vaseline. We're gonna say his name is Vaseline. Cocoa Butter Vaseline, okay? That's his first and his last name. So Cocoa Butter Vaseline would be in the background sometimes talking shit sometimes to her, and she's like, shut your ass up, Coco, woo, woo, blah, blah, blah. So I wouldn't think nothing about it. And she's like, well, I've known him for years. No big deal. So I'm like, it's not a big deal to me. Men and women can be friends. No biggie. So at one point we're working on trying to get back together. She was like, I need a break. And at this point, she had done a bunch of stuff to me. She had lied to me. She made me feel like I couldn't trust her. And it was like a whole slew of shit. You know, and I was just like being honest with her, and I was being real with her, and I wasn't, you know, fucking around. You know, I wasn't dating other people. I wasn't trying to fuck with other people. I wasn't being dishonest. So, one day I'm on the phone with one of my friends at the time, and, I was like, hey, telling them what's kind of going on. And they're like, out of kind of pure fun, they were like, oh, you should just Google Excedrin. And I was like, really? I should Google them? They're like, yeah, why not? Lo and behold, Google brings up that Excedrin is actually married to Coco Vaseline. When I tell you my mind was fucking blown, I was fucking blown. I was hurt. I was in disbelief. I could not believe that this whole time this person was lying to me and making me feel like, wow, you're crazy for, you know, all the times I've cheated on you, number one, all the times I've lied to you, all the times I've had females in the background, all the times that I've just been. And I'm like, well, what kind of ring do you guys have going on? Are you guys running a whorehouse? Like, what do you guys do over there? Do you guys just watch each other fuck each other? Like, and other people? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I had all these questions. But I'm like, wow, you're fucking married. So I'm like, okay. So then I talked to Excedrin later on that day. I'm like, hey, is there something you want to tell me? Because I will always give you the opportunity to tell me if I found out something. And she's like, no. Why? No, I don't have anything to tell you. Why would you ask me that? I'm like, are you sure? There's nothing you have not told me that you want to tell me. She's like, no. I wait a second. I'm like, you're fucking married to Coco Vaseline. So then she loses her shit. She's like, why the fuck would I marry him? He's a fucking dog. Woo, 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 and goes on and on and on and on and on. And I'm like, you know, that's the question I keep asking myself. Why? Why would you marry him? Why would you lie to me? Why would you be dishonest? So then she gets off the phone. Not even 2 minutes later, I get another call. Her being really somber and sad and regretful. I'm sorry, I should have told you. There's so many times I wanted to tell you. Blah, blah, blah. How do you forget to tell somebody you're married? And at the time, I don't even know if they're divorced now. That's none of my fucking business. But at the time, they wasn't divorced. They were just separated. That's what she told me. I'm like, Excedrin, sweetie. Your last name is still Vaseline, honey. So you're still married, sweetie. So I was just too through. I was done with it. I was over it. And she just couldn't get over that. I couldn't get over that she was married. I was like, you're a whole fucking married. And you're around here doing all this cheating ass shit. And I was like, you're on the phone with me. You're talking to me. You're doing shit with me. And I was like, and I think you're a catfish. So I started calling her catfish. And she would get mad about it. But if you're not a catfish, you really wouldn't get mad. Somebody could really call me a catfish and I won't get mad because I know I'm not a catfish. You know what I'm saying? But she would get really upset. And so Excedrin really is crazy. Like, that shit was crazy, man. Like, that shit taught me so much, though. And to be honest, that shit taught me a lot of different things. Number one, it taught me that always be aware of your situations. Like, always be looking into everything. Like, now when I meet people, this is gonna sound crazy, but I Google them. Like, I Google you to find out if you have a Twitter, if you have an Instagram, if you have a fucking YouTube, if you have anything that validates who you are. You know what I'm saying? It's very important for me to validate who you are. You know what I'm saying? I also think it makes me more open to the fact that people do still catfish. And I learned a lot about myself during this process, that, you know, I'm not as dumb as I guess people would like to think I am, or as I thought I was. Like, I thought I was kind of oblivious to people's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought I was like, well, maybe it won't happen. You know what I'm saying? You always be like, maybe that won't happen to me. That's not like some kind of Jerry Springer type shit. And it happened to me. You know, it's totally possible. So I think that it opened my eyes to the fact that, hey, this kind of shit can happen to anybody. And always have to be aware of the fact that it's possible. Now, here, today, this kind of stuff happens. People lie. People get caught up in this manipulation of they have to pretend to be other people. They have to lie. They have to cheat. They have to pretend. They have to put up this facade and act like other people, but they really don't. Okay, sorry, I heard hello movement. I was like, what is that? But yeah, so it definitely opened my eyes to being aware of new people. It kind of actually put up a little bit of wall when I met someone new. And it made me kind of fuck up things with them, which kind of opened me up to another wall. But it definitely opened my eyes to the fact that people do lie. Like, I knew that people lied because I've been hurt before she came around, but people lie for no reason at all. You know, I think that shit still blows my mind. People pretend to be people they're not. People act like they're not in whole relationships and they're married, you know. And I think that it's important to realize, even if you're separated, it's important to let that other person know, because she didn't even give me an option if I wanted to deal with it or not. She just kind of took the option from me. So I think it's important to let someone know if you're in a situation. Let them know, you know, and like, hey, this is my situation right now. This is what I'm going through. So I learned a lot about myself. I just learned that I have to be strong enough to say, hey, you know, this is not good enough for me, and I'm better than this, and I'm worth somebody just being for me singularly. And I know that I'm worth trusting someone and knowing that they're telling me the truth. And it's okay for me to Google somebody and not be stalkerish with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I Google somebody, but that's it. I don't go through their pockets. I don't go through their stuff, you know. And I don't have to distrust everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't distrust everybody. You have to give me a reason for you to just, you have to give me the reason for me to distrust you, basically. So, you know, that's pretty much my Excedrin and Coco Vaseline story. What I've learned from an ex. I dealt with that for about almost two and a half, 3 years. So, that shit was crazy. It's definitely more to the story, but I didn't want to put all of the business out there, spill all my tea. Just you know, tip it over a little bit. But yeah. So if you guys want to learn more about this little challenge, it's not it's much, yeah, I guess it's a challenge thing for him, to tell what you learned about yourself from your ex. I'll link the video down below, and also thank you guys for watching, and thanks Trey Melvon for doing this, and I will see you guys later.